for the air I breathe, for the song I sing. You are the reason why I lift my voice, why I lift my hands. It's all because of you. You are the reason. You are the reason. Jesus, you are the reason. You are the reason. Where would I be? What would I do if not for your grace? Oh Lord, it's so amazing and so refreshing that you could love a man like me. You didn't have to do it, but you did it anyway. I'm so grateful, so thankful. I'm walking in victory now. I'm walking in liberty now. All because I'm saved. Yes, I'm saved. You are the reason for the life I live, for the love I live, for the air I breathe, and the air I breathe, for the song I sing. Jesus, you are the reason. Why I lift my voice, and why I lift my hands. It's all because of you. You are the reason. You are the reason. Hey, Jesus, you are the reason. Oh my, yes, you are the reason. Hey, the reason why I live. Reason why I live. The reason why I live. Yeah. The reason why I live. I can't live without you. Yeah. I can't live without you. Live without you. Say, I can't live without you. Hey, I can't live without you. Can't live without you. You knew I lived.
Hello. I just want to make sure that my voice is heard. I'm sorry, friends, family. Uh, you're welcome to this program. We are trying to start, but we are having problems with software. So, me, I don't want to write something. Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Um, uh, Dr. Can you hear my voice?
I can hear you, but it's choppy.
Hello? Hello? Yeah. Can someone write something? I'm not sure what's going on. Can someone hear my voice? Do you hear my voice? Hello? Hello? So, brother, can you hear me? Can you?
I can hear you. It's just choppy.
It's just me.
Yeah.
Wow. How to do this now? Because if you can't hear me, it's a problem. Okay. What do you think we that, just go ahead like you think go ahead.
I if because I don't think I would be able to actually hear, like,
Yeah,
if you have when you have like a question or
yeah,
and stuff, it won't make for a really good dialogue.
yeah.
Like, we can try, like, should we try one more time? Should we try again and see?
Yeah, it's 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 see, it's taking time to show on my phone.
Or do you just want to use like just the Facebook?
Okay, let's just use the Facebook.
Yeah, because you could just invite me on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll, I'll record. And friends, all of you, thank you, thank you, Jimmy Lawrence, and Lola. Not thank you for being here. But software is giving us a big problem. There are changes software and it's not working. It's revaluating. I don't think you can you know, try to use it. Software is giving us a big problem. There are changes software and it's not working. No, no, we can continue. I can use myself on Facebook. And you can, I can hear myself on Facebook. Not all,
Yes.
I can hear myself from Facebook player.
Okay, okay.
I can hear myself in the Facebook player. Please help me and work. Can you help us to if our phone is fire? Is the sound clear? Do you think we should continue on this or change the software? Just let me know, please. Let me know if you have something.
Do you want me to, you said, what should I do?
No, no, I'm trying to talk the audience, the people on the line, please. Can you type something and hear me clearly?
No, it's still choppy. Do you want us to switch the platforms?
No, no, I'm talking to the people on the line. I'm talking to people online.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, if they can hear me clearly, if they can hear me, or if they can hear us, then we can manage. Then try
Okay.
restart and then start all over.
Okay.
If you're online, try to me to know to see whether you can hear clearly. Can you hear clearly? Oh, thank you. That's Friday to see you on the platform. God bless. Uh, someone write something if you can hear me. I guess we just like this, we just start. Hopefully, we'll be fine. But it's, I mean, I hope you will be able to hear me. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's Father, I want to thank you this morning. Bless you. I worship you. I give you praise. Thank you for that which you are doing. Lord, as we start this broadcast, we pray that you take control. Holy Spirit, take control. Let everything work. Let them declare it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. So, friends, thanks for being here once again. I think we have to start. Friday, Sigalo, thank you for being here. Next boom. Now, spirit, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Jamila, thanks for being here. And many of us, I can see you. Thanks for being here. Today is going to be awesome. We want to continue on our topic that we started. And my guest here, you know, uh, uh, is my guest, Dr. Audrey Atuka. Dr. Audrey Atuka is fairly very special sister, you know. He has proficient degrees, many degrees, you know. Uh, that's not the point, but it's an achievement to have credit, you know, at a young age, you know, I've gone this far. I did, you know, a podcast with Audrey last time. So if you're interested in the profile, go and listen to the part one of this broadcast, collaboration, collaboration. So this collaboration two, you know, and I'm I'm, I'm promising you it is going to be interesting. To start, before I get the project, to come on, I want to read the scripture, maybe two scriptures, uh, maybe the scriptures, and then we will start. And I want to read Ecclesiastes chapter 4 that we read last Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Hold on, let me get my Ecclesiastes chapter 4. I'll read from verse 9. It says, two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person fails, if one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Like two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? How can one alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better. For a triple God is not easily broken. I think we are going to be using the scripture as long as we are talking on this subject, collaboration, collaboration. So, the scripture that God is trying to let us know that when we are two, we are better than one. And two together is better than one. We can achieve who Dr. Andre just got kicked out. She better come back. She better come back. So we are two, um, we are two, we are better off than one. So, but I want to see the case study, about the point that I'm trying to make. If you look at, the Exodus chapter 18 from verse 14, Exodus chapter 18 from verse 14, it gives a story about Moses, when God delivered the people of Israel, from Egypt, they crossed the Red Sea and they began their journey to the promised land, you know, and at this time, Moses in-law, Jethro, wanted to go and visit him. Moses in-law Jethro wanted to go and visit him. And then, he went there. And if you look at from verse 14 to verse 23, the story tells you that he came, he observed what Jethro was doing, sitting down and doing everything by himself, judging people. And his brother-in-law Jethro advised him that if you keep doing this thing the way you are doing, you will wear yourself out. That, please come back, come back, come back, come back. You got to come back. We need to come back. You know, and so, the Jethro advised, Moses that you need to give up, trying to do everything by yourself. And he was pointing to collaboration. Moses in-law was trying to teach Moses, on collaboration, that you can achieve more, you can do better by working with people, by working, by trying to be in charge of everything. And if you look at Africa, look at Christianity in Africa, that seems to be one of the problems I need to call as trend. And all the to come to play. So the Igbo Jethro was trying to just one place. Uh, uh, let me uh, uh, answer that. took signing. Did
Yeah,
you?
I went, and I was just waiting, and I was just waiting to get off. So I'm going through the labor market to go through it.
Okay, I'll put this for now. Oh, I don't know why that. Right. Sorry, that uh, um, this is a problem. It's a problem. Um, uh, the, 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 uh, oh, that's, uh, okay, yeah, okay, yes, it's a software, yes. Uh, yeah, uh, um, uh, uh, so, please, I come back with the great back, but of the exercise, please, and please, and let's get look at let's add more people to come back and join us. More people come back and join us. A lot of people left because somewhere should have it. Please come back. We have something good for us today. God has something good for us today. So I was saying before we got out that one of the examples that we can go from the scripture of blood collaboration is the issue of Moses and Joshua, the father-in-law. Moses was trying to do everything by himself, um, and and when church will basically told him, oh, you need to collaborate. You have to give up and then give up so many things so that you can be effectual in the effect. That is so important because our life, you know, collaboration has not been a big deal. Today we want to look at collaboration in a different dimension. Dr. Audrey Luca is here and he will take us through one or two things. And at the end, we have question. I have question for you, and especially because you represent the young people. You represent the young people, and then, I mean, it's important that we know the views of the young people. So, Dr. Audrey, sorry if I mess up your name. You are welcome once more to this platform, and I want to start so that you can do your thing. Welcome.
Thank you. I think I'm on. I was trying to make out everything that you're saying. So I think that was you saying it's my turn.
Yeah,
Can you hear me clearly?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So am I the only person that can't hear you clearly?
It is welcome. We'll try it, but go on.
Okay. So Um, about collaboration, I think we left off just kind of like talking about a ton of stuff the last time. And it was a good chat. I was so excited about the chat that we had the last time. And then just continuing, we wanted to go a little bit deeper and give kind of like examples and go into the topic a little bit more. Um, and collaboration. And then as I mulled over it, because I really wanted to really think about it intensely in a sense because when I thought about the general population, I thought Black people, right? Because I'm like, okay, how does collaboration actually even affect us? And I looked at the Nigerian setting, but then I realized it's not even just Nigerians. It's like Black people in general need a deeper sense of what collaboration actually is. And then I started thinking about it and I realized that a lot of our fundamental mindsets are even skewed. So even before you can even dive into collaboration, you would have to even address the topic of where is the mind even at? Why hasn't this been a thing for the Black population? Why is it that we are not geared in a sense towards teaming up to do certain things? And it just had me really thinking about it. And where it would have to begin is individually and in the mind.
mm,
So, in terms of collaboration, as we discuss it today, I think that if we talk about it generally, people tend to like we tend to have this thing, especially as Nigerians, we tend to have this thing that's like pointing fingers. So it's
mm,
like, oh, we're talking about collaboration. You see, these people don't collaborate. Instead of pointing the finger at ourselves. And I think today we really need to like stay focused on like as we talk about the issues and as we talk about the broader sense of things, people need to be pointing the finger at themselves, not necessarily pointing the finger in an accusation kind of way,
mm,
accusatory kind of way, but more in a sense of taking ownership and taking responsibility as we take further steps into becoming better and
mm,
becoming more, right? So my thing was, how do we personally take accountability and begin to shift our mindsets to position us to collaborate with each other, right? So the first step is getting rid of those things that were taught to us that doesn't serve us in order for us to come together as a community, as a whole, as an entity, or even allow for us to unite. And I think that's the biggest issue. If there is no unity in our minds, we never will be able to collaborate. Because in order for me to collaborate with you, there has to be a sense of belonging. There has to
mm,
be a sense of, you're my brother. Or at least I can respect you, right? Because
mm,
I don't have to like you, but I have to respect you. And I think that's something that's a missing component is when people talk about collaboration, people don't understand the fact that like there's a lot of people that collaborate that don't like each other, right? If you think about your general sense of like when you go to work, there's a lot of the times when they put you in teams and you're like, oh, am I even going to be able to stand this person's personality? There's conflict of interest sometimes. There's just different things that come up. There's variance, right? But at the end of the day, it boils down to respect. Can I even be in this group and be respectful, right?
mm,
And realizing that as long as I'm in this group, we are a unit. Because if I don't collaborate in this group, like imagine when the professor gives you like a task to do and puts you in groups.
mm,
If you guys are not unified in that group, the grade affects you guys. All of you take the hit. So it's not even just like, oh, okay, one person will get a bad grade. No, it's as a whole, it affects us. And that's what collaboration essentially does is if we fail to be able to collaborate with each other, we all have to live the consequences of not being able to collaborate.
mm,
We all will feel the effects of not being unified. So if you think about it, if you think and say, oh, you know what, that doesn't even affect me because me, I on my own, I know how to collaborate, right? But collaboration is team effort. Collaboration is an entire unit. It's not just like, okay, I'm a single person by myself trying to figure it out on my own. And I think that's the mental state of mind that I think a lot of us as Nigerians, as blacks have is this solo mentality. I will figure it out myself. I will do it myself. I don't need those people. Ah, what value can they even add to me? How are they going to like we're always solo minded. We're very like we're programmed, our programming, our mindset programming is very geared towards independence, but it's an independence that's a killer.
mm,
It's an independence that does not serve us. It is an independence that has caused more deterioration and more separation. That doesn't even, at the end of the day, when you look at certain people, you'll see where the collaboration efforts are actually affecting people because you start to see people really bitter.
mm,
Well, you're really angry because you have to wake up in the morning, try to figure out everything on your own. You don't feel supported. And when you don't feel supported, you will be frustrated. And what collaboration does is it actually adds that little cushion on the back that says, hey, I'm here and I have your back. Regardless of if the person even wants to, let's say you guys don't even agree or anything, right? And
mm,
but you guys are coming together to agree on a particular project. Because of that project, you will have support for one another. So collaboration has this weird way of forcing you to respect and support one another,
mm,
right? But if you never put yourself in that position in the first place, then you never get to experience the other attributes that is forced upon you because you collaborate, right? So collaboration brings you out of your own solo mentality and kind of like pushes you into this realm of uncomfortableness because a lot of us haven't been used to collaborating. And so it pushes you out of your comfort zone into an unknown realm where you don't have to be self-reliant, but you have to be dependent on other people's on what other people do as well. So I really love the fact that like I have this American side of
yeah,
myself because it's very much taught us like when you're like in the eighth, like I started in the sixth grade when
yeah,
we came, right? And everything about the educational system in the US teaches you collaboration. It teaches you teamwork. They spend so much. Like you could literally think, what are my children even doing in school? Because honestly, if you take an American child and you take a Nigerian child, the Nigerian child will be smarter,
mm,
hands down. They will be smarter in terms of mathematics, in terms of English grammar, in terms of even if they're like, oh, Nigerians don't speak English or whatever, whatever. Like if you know, because they make you take TOEFL, but the thing is, you have more, like you speak proper grammar than Americans do. Like in terms of like English, math, science, all these like basis of education, the Nigerian child would be smarter, right? That's a given. But in terms of functionality as an individual, as a person,
mm,
the American child would supersede because they spend so much time giving you confidence, so much time having you be respectful, so much time on teamwork and collaboration, right?
mm,
They spend a lot of time on the things that would be seen as not necessities in terms of like how we do school, but that's what makes a person functional. So if you take an average American that finished high school, right, and put them into any setting, they're able to navigate. They know how to at least deal with people. At least this was the truth. This used, I mean, we can debate it now because times have changed. Technology has kind of like stepped in.
mm,
People are more isolated than before.
mm,
So we can debate it, but generally an American person can step into a place and know how to navigate the people, know how to communicate with people, and have respect for the people that they're, even if they don't like the person. How many
mm.
times have you gone to work, Uncle Tuka? Or like maybe when you used to like go to work and maybe when you weren't doing your own projects and stuff like that, and you know that the person doesn't like you, but they smile and they work with you, but you know they don't like you.
Yeah, it is an issue because, like I was saying, you know, we have this common view as Africans. Uh, because I don't like you, I cannot work with you. You know,
Yeah.
because you don't speak my language, you don't eat the things that I eat, you don't, you know, uh, think the way I think. I cannot work with you. You know, and that is the problem of this social mentality that we have. Because oh, I don't like this person. It is on the basis of principle. Principle means that you okay, because you say, oh, I can't work with you because you're not beautiful. That is different. But to say that I can't work with you because you are not in my tribe, or I can't work with you because you don't go to my church, I can't work with you because you know you don't wear the kind of things that will drive the kind of things that I drive. When we cannot collaborate on that basis, we are, killing ourselves and we are killing society. So it's
Mhm.
important, like I'm trying to say, that you don't have to like someone for you to work with that person.
Yes.
The person doesn't have to be like church member for you to work with that person. You know, That person doesn't have to be your pastor, you know,
Yes.
for you to walk without. So we have this dichotomy among Africans. And one thing that, and I told you I address even details is this issue of I don't like you because people have told me that. Even some close family members have told me that before. Oh, I don't like what you are doing, so I cannot work with you. And that is not collaboration. So what?
It's not.
Mm.
It's really not, because okay, so let's even look at it from in terms of like scripture, right? I particularly like the scripture that talks about, you know, taking the log out of your own eye before you even focus on the speck in the other person's eye. Now,
Yeah.
if you think of a log, right? Think of the trunk of a tree,
Mm.
right? I don't know what the biggest tree is, but an oak tree is huge. Is huge. So if that's a log, right? And a speck could be like a grain of sand or something. It could be a grain of sand. For it to say take the log out of your own eye before focusing on the speck in the other person's eye, it implies that the problem isn't the other person. The problem is you. So whenever you don't like somebody, the problem isn't that person. The problem is you. Whenever there's a disagreement, whenever there's something, right? Because there are people that are still at peace with their enemy, right? There are
Mhm.
people that you can look in their situation and they're feuding with enemies or what you perceive as their enemy, but they're at peace with that person. But you, as an onlooker, you're like, dude, don't you see that that's your enemy? What's making that person be at peace with that person? That's what you have to ask yourself. So a lot of the times when we think that there's an issue, fundamentally you have to look at yourself first before pointing fingers. What religion does is religion points outside of itself
Mm.
and tries to point fingers at outside of yourself and point at other people.
Mm.
And I think if you're going to focus on continuing to point the finger at other people, you will continue to deteriorate, because usually the problem isn't other people, because you can maintain your peace in the storm. That's what Jesus showed us that he could do.
Mm.
When he was in the boat and the storm came and everybody was frazzled, everybody was freaking out, they were losing their minds, right? And you have to think of the worst case scenario. We are about to sink. This boat is sinking. Why is this guy not freaking out? And they found out, and it wasn't because he was God, because the church will teach you, oh, it was because he was God, it was because no, Jesus was a man. you know what made him different, right?
Mm.
It's because he had an assurance. He had an assurance. He knew who he was. In every situation, he was able to maintain composure. Why can't we maintain composure? Because we haven't fixed our minds. When our mindset is different, we're able to be more composed. So
Mm.
I may have differences with you. I don't have to have the same practices as you to respect you.
Mm.
I can respect you based off of the fact that we are the same. We are created in the image and the likeness of God.
Mm.
Period.
Mm.
That deserves respect.
Mm.
I don't care what race you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what type of job you do. I don't care if you're the top of the line, the bottom of the food chain, according to what human standards are.
Mm.
Everyone deserves respect. If you just go based off of respect, you will be perfectly fine.
Mm.
But what I've noticed in the Nigerian community is we lack respect for one another.
Mm.
We lack respect for one another. The people that we even claim to have respect for, right? Say they don't do the thing that you want them to do, Nigerians turn on them very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, oh, madam, let me carry your bag. Let me carry your bag. Let me carry your bag. No, don't carry my bag. I'll carry my own bag. Madam, I beg now. Let me carry your bag. No, I said I can carry my own bag. I'm telling you a scenario that happened at the airport.
Okay.
Oh, madam, please, 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 let me. I'm like, dude, I can carry my own bag. You know why I want to carry my own bag? Because I know you want something from me.
You
I don't have that thing to give you.
okay?
And if I give to you, everybody else is looking. By
Okay.
the time I leave this airport, all my money is gone. So I say, no, let me carry my own bag. I can carry my own bag, you know? So I'm carrying, and then when I finally like, hey, don't touch the bag, I will carry it myself. Nonsense. You think saying not only you get bag, like you, so it's like, wait, the disrespect, because I asked you not to carry my bag, you have to insult me?
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no respect culture,
Right.
and there needs to be. And the interesting part is
Okay.
we always we will replicate
Let me
what we
interrupt you.
see.
Let me interrupt you quickly. Let me interrupt you quickly there because we can sit on that point a little bit. That
Yes.
airport, that airport matter is a big thing. It's
Murtala Mohammed, whatever, Murtala,
important.
that Lagos airport.
Any airport you go, uh, you get you can get high blood pressure before you get out of the airport. You could be sick and frustrated before you get out of the airport. So
Yeah.
talking about collaboration, you would think that you know, collaboration will mean that if you see somebody that needs help, you want to offer that help to help that person out of your mind. But for us, Nigeria, it's not like that. It's always a trail by pattern. You use something to get something.
Yes.
You get something or you don't do something for the sake of the people or the person you are doing for. You are doing something for yourself, for your interest, for the reason of for the particular thing you are intending to get. Like you said, somebody
There's always a selfish motive.
okay,
There's
somebody
always a selfish
somebody
motive.
comes to you now
And
and
you
tell
and you know,
can somebody
you know,
to you wait, I'm not done. Somebody
okay, go
coming to
ahead.
you telling you, I know you're not hearing me somewhere. Well, I just let's do sign language. When I do like I speak okay. No, you're not hearing me. Like that need to sign language, okay? When you see my just I want to say something, you know. So people are not trying to help you because they really want to help you. And you see also in religious people too. Okay, they come to their community. They say they want to build church. They want to establish a church. Maybe a redeem, Christ, Mercy, Women's Chapel, all these fantastic names. They come to your community. They say they want to build a church. It's not because they think about you or think about the community. It's not because they are interested in you, but behind them, they are looking at so much money that can be they can be getting from their community every Sunday. That is not a true collaboration. That is not a essence of collaboration. So coming back to the airport thing, so you see somebody coming to let me help you, let me help you. Not that they really want to help but they want they are looking for a way to extort money. Their reason for them volunteering, is because they want to get from you. And that is a value system that we have to discard, that we have to do away with. And the reason we want to talk about collaboration, for us to understand that when we talk about collaboration, we are looking at behavioral patterns, behaviors that can help us function well as an individual, as a society, as a Christian, or as non-Christian. So what are these behaviors that we exhibit? What are these characters? What are these principles that we carry about? Does it, portray what collaboration really means? Because collaboration, and I think you can find that collaboration as, the actions of working with together, with someone to produce or create something, not necessarily for yourself, at least, the interest of others. So I want to let continue on that track that airport gimmick.
You know, okay, so for the way that my mind, or the way that I'm programmed, or the way that my mind works is I'm always noticing everything at the same time. And so I really pay attention to the details of everything. As the guy is trying to grab my bags, I'm also noticing that there's an elderly man. He looks like he's in his late 60s, right? And the man is carrying like really, really heavy luggages.
Yeah.
You, the person saw me and saw my white hair because I had really, really white hair. I had my contacts in. Obviously, I look super American, of course, and I'm smiling. I look very American. You're sizing me. You pick me out of the crowd because you think I'm the one that has. But right next to me is an elderly man that needs help, and nobody's helping him,
Wow.
right? And then you get in there, and then the elderly guy, I was paying attention and I observed throughout to see if anybody would actually even help the guy. We get to the place where they're searching in the bags and stuff like that. He had to carry his own bag from the floor, lifted it on top of the thing. I felt like, for a country that claims that they respect their elders, I felt like it was disrespectful. I felt like it was dishonoring. I didn't feel like nobody was doing their job because the people were so focused on, let's open the bag to see what's inside, to see what we can keep for ourselves or what we can extort from you, that they weren't even paying attention to, like, okay, let me lift the bag for you out of respect, or just mere doing your job.
Mm.
Because even here, that we say that people are not respectful in the US, someone would have offered, that works there, one of them would have offered, let me carry it for you, and carried it and put it on top of the thing, but they didn't do that. At the end of the day, for me, it was just distasteful. It was very distasteful because from the point of even like, it's a hassle getting to the airport. It's very much a hassle.
Mm.
Nobody reads signs or wants to follow the signs. It's very disorderly. And so you're already frustrated because even just getting close to, like, when the entrance of the airport, when you're coming in to, like, okay, let me go to my terminal gate or whatever, there's no parking. There's no structure. You can easily, like, hand someone money and the person will let you park in places you shouldn't even be parking. You can even block the road. If you pay them enough money, they'll block the road for you.
So for you, you are coming in another step now. Collaboration is also means that Nigerians should be able to work with the signs.
I'm painting that picture because there is collaboration. It's just the wrong type of collaboration. It's the wrong type of collaboration because it's detrimental. It's very self-oriented, right? When we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about collaboration to build, to come together, to see something grow, to see something blossom, right? To have a more effective society, to have a more productive place of living, right? Accountability, like checks and balances. Collaboration in terms of, like, if we're coming to do this project, we're keeping each other accountable. You have your part to play, you have your part to play. In an airport setting, collaboration is important because if each person did their job, let's say, just not even doing extra, if each person did their job, that place would flow effortlessly.
Wow.
Because there's so many employees in that place. I've never seen that many employees in any other airport.
Wow.
I've been to Heathrow Airport in London is one of the busiest airports. Chicago Airport is one of the busiest airports. They don't have the amount of employees that the Nigerian airport has. There's so many employees for the place not to be running effectively is mind-blowing. It's very weird. So if everybody just stayed at their station, did what they were hired to do in the first place, the place would run effortlessly. It would run because all you have to do is the job you were hired for.
Okay. So people will say, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about the problem of the airport? Why are we talking about the fact that people, have decided that they can follow and things will function are not doing what they are supposed to do. What was Christ want from a believer, from people who, who call themselves believers in Christ? What does, does God expect of us? How does God want us to live? Is it that we God is satisfied that we go to church on Sunday and sing and dance ourselves to death and look pious and holy, that God is interested that we go into our community, go into our workplace, go into the airport as believers and live to do and live a life that is worthy of God, that is worthy of Christ. If I am employed to take care of luggage, I make sure that any luggage that passes through me is safe, is well handled, is efficiently handled. Why? I am not only working there to be paid by, by my employer to make an income, but I am working there representing the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I am working there because God has allowed me. There are not thousands of people looking for jobs. They do not find job. I was working to find job at the airport. But what is it that I am doing to make the airport better? What is it that I am doing to make the system run better? So, now, is why we are talking about collaboration. So that you can pray yourself. I can pray myself and see, am I really understanding collaboration at the place of work?
Even if so, let's even take it down and not even over spiritualize it, right? Integrity is important. Integrity is important. And you have to be a person of integrity. If you say you're going to do something, you follow through on what you have to do. Integrity is very important. It is crucial. And honestly, for those that live in the diaspora, right? Let's bring it back. So I'll give you guys another example that of how I think it's such a mentality thing. It's a mentality thing because over the past 8 years, I think we've had probably more than 50 employees, right? The ones that I dread hiring the most are Africans. And I'm
Wow.
not going to just say just Nigerians. I'm not going to say just Nigerians because I've hired Liberians, Kenyans. Kenyans are a lot easier to work with because they're very like mellow. People from Uganda, they're very level. Eastern, I find that people from the East, they're just more calm. People from the West Africans are so hard to work with. I dread hiring them as an employer because I know the difficulties that have piled up over years of experience of hiring them. And so as soon as I see your name on a documentation, and I'm a Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. Of course, nobody thinks I'm Nigerian, but that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I'm looking at it like, okay, it's so hard to work with these people because you hire the person as soon as they know that you're also African, the disrespect,
Wow.
the disrespect. They don't respect you. They don't show up on time. They will. So because our this last facility and stuff like that, our social worker is white, and we did it intentionally. It's strategic. You hired a white person to be the face, and then as a black person, you stand behind the white person because black people respect white people.
Hmm.
They respect white people. So as long as she's giving commands and she's giving orders, they listen. But the minute they find out that this place is not owned by this person, this place is owned by this other black person that keeps coming in, it's done. They will show up late. And when I'm a very easygoing person, and I like the fact that like I don't believe in leadership that lords over people. I believe in leadership that comes alongside and does it with you. So I'm the type of leader that will come and I will do the job with you. If we're having a tough day at work, I will roll up like I'm on the floor with you and I'm doing the job with you.
mm,
For Africans believe that leadership should be lording over someone and you're subject to me. I don't believe in that stuff. But I noticed that every time I would come alongside to try to help on the floor, they didn't respect me.
mm.
They no longer respected me because I'm doing the same job that you're doing. But me doing the same job that you're doing doesn't take away from the fact that I still own the facility. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, like, I'm helping you. It shouldn't be like a thing where it's like, oh, what kind of leader comes down to my level? It's such a sad mentality. If so, there was one particular incident where the girl kept coming in late, and I approached her and I said, "You can't come in late anymore. You keep coming in late. It's not acceptable. I know that when you work in other places, you don't show up late because you're working for white people. You never show up late, but when it's a black person, you show up late." It happened several times, and finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to let you go. The begging at that time is, oh, please, 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 you cannot do this to me. I really need this job. I really need this job. But if you knew you needed the job, why are you not treating it like a place that you really need the job? You come into work, you don't do your job, you come in late, you just treat the place any and anyhow. Why? Because it's my own kind of people, is my they're my people. After all, she's Nigerian. So I should be disrespected because I'm Nigerian, and you're not going to respect me because I'm Nigerian. So there's no value. We don't value one another. We don't respect one another. It's a sick mentality thing. And that's why I started off by saying, if we are going to even talk about collaboration, we have to take responsibility and ownership that in our individual lives, there's something wrong with our mindsets. There's something wrong when we don't respect one another. There's something wrong if we cannot just see the other person as a person of value,
Okay.
you know?
So you know, that is so true. I hope people can know that is so true. You know, it's very far African, Nigeria, we respect white people than
Yeah,
our people. You know, Nigeria to be the most unified, the most well, but will be looked down. But you can go to China and bring a gentleman, and bring, a bricklayer to come and head over an organization, and every Nigerian will expect that, gentleman from abroad, than, expatriate from, Africa themselves. And see, if I just bring this home, in families, things are happening in every family. But people in the same family don't even value themselves. Like I could have a car, okay, and all of you are in my family, and someone else in another family and own a car. My car might be better than that person as well. But you see, even members of my family will prefer or by default respect more the other person that has a car that is even like my own than me that live there. Okay? Than
yeah,
me there, but look, okay, look, like you are an expert in your field. Have, at least you are learner, okay? And you are a place that you can instruct people. But you will surprise that if in your own family, in your husband, or maybe in your uncle, they will be highly advice from you. But you will see them, planning themselves on, falling for themselves on someone, that is where you are there.
yeah,
They don't even value, they don't respect you. They do not default respecting others and valuing others, thinking that the God is greater on the other side. How can we turn ahead if we don't support one another? If we don't respect ourselves, if we don't, value our own, or encourage one another to get this collaboration, And you said something before that we know how to point fingers. You know, like, oh, the government of Buhari is this. Oh, God, we say River State is this. Oh, that other politician senator is this. You know, we know how to tell the fraud, all the senators, all the governors, all the chairmen. But when it
It,
comes to election, you are the same people. We are the same people that we voted into. We know that they are corrupt. We know that they are blood, they are thieves. We know that they don't care about the community. But when they bring their bag of rights during election, we will forget all that and, you know, go and vote them in. We ourselves, you know, we don't even respect ourselves. So these are the mindset that, you know, we need to work on. If we want things to work in our life, in our society, prayer is good. But prayer is like it's not going to solve all the problems. God has to bring us, has saved us, has empowered us to go into the society and be change agents and live the life of a believer and, you know, use our mind and walk the spirit or the heart of the spirit to do what Jesus will do, than to be subjugating ourselves, you know, delegating our authority and, you know, exalting and worshiping someone because he is powerful, because he has money, because he has succeeded in deceiving people for years, and that becomes, you know, our value system. That is why you see the powerful remain powerful, the rich remain rich, the anointed remain anointed. God is interested in all of us collaborating to form a kingdom that is of God.
and you're so right. And I think I'm not better than like you. I'm not better than you just because I live in the US. And I think that a lot of Nigerians need to hear that. Nobody is better than someone that lives in another place. And you know, we always think the other place is better than where we live, right? Until you get to that place and then you realize it's not as you thought, right?
Mm.
So you'll hear that a lot when people are like, "Oh, I really want to go to America. I really want to go to America." And then you get to America, you're like, "Oh God, it wasn't that bad at home." you know? So everybody always thinks somewhere else is the best place until they get there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that like just because you live in a place that's seen as more like I don't even know how it's seen. But I also feel like the Nigerians that live in America or live in the diaspora have done such an injustice as well, because when you go home to visit, right, we perpetuate things that we shouldn't really perpetuate, right? Like that's where you want to show off that you live this grandiose lifestyle and this, you just have all the money coming in. But we all know you live here, you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2, 3 jobs. You worked 2, 3 jobs to save up money to go home, right? So we already know you spent a lot of money. But as an American, I know that. As Nigerians, they don't know that because you're coming and you're just throwing money, throwing money, throwing money, throwing money, throwing money. So every time somebody now shows up from America, everybody's expecting them to throw money around. I'm like, listen, I'm a very honest person. I'll be honest with you. I worked very hard for my money. I'm not throwing it around like that. That's not how this is going to go down. I think that people need to be more truthful. I'm not better than you because we are technically we're the same. We're the same. At the end of the day, we're the same. We all have struggles. We all have things that we're going through. We need to find a common ground where we can respect one another. We can value one another. If you are not going to value somebody, value them just based on the fact that they are a child of God, created in the image and the likeness of God, just like you. That person carries God on the inside. Value them as if you are treating God in flesh. You have to offer service as if you're offering service to God Himself. Isn't that what we preach in church? Isn't that what we should be practicing? Isn't that what the Bible says? Why are we not doing it? And I think honestly, it is a practice of self hate. if you cannot look at someone else and treat them with respect or value, you are practicing self hate. And
Wow.
it's something that has been taught to all Black people. All Black people need to learn how to love themselves. You have to start with your own self. And when you look at another Black person, if the first thing that comes to your mind is negative, you have to really fundamentally go back and reevaluate your life. Do I even like myself? Because what we have been taught by programming for so long is self hate. It is self hate to not like someone else based off of just random stuff like, oh, they're from a different tribe. So what? So what? What does that even mean? What does a different tribe mean? A different tribe is just a line on a map.
Mm.
It has nothing to do with character. It has nothing to do with integrity. It has nothing to do with fundamentally who that person is as a child of God. I don't care if you're a different religion. We've done the same thing now to the point where we don't even realize that in every group and sector, they're good and bad. There's good and bad. There are people that are, I personally, if you ask me, I'm the type of person that chooses to believe that people are good. People are good. It is the programmings of life that causes people to act out of character. So when someone is broken, when someone is hurt, when someone has a wrong mindset, when someone has been dejected, rejected, they will start to act out of character, right? But if you get down to healing their hurt, once their hurt is healed, they're good people. People are good. But if you don't have this mentality of people are good and you have this mentality of people will dupe me, people are evil, people are not trustworthy, then you will go through life hating essentially yourself. Because when God looks at us, God doesn't see the divide that we have created as mankind. God doesn't see all the racial divides. God doesn't see any of these lines that we've created. Oh, that tribe, this tribe. God doesn't look at us like that. God sees us as one. He sees us as one. It's like if you had pepper soup, right? Think of us as pepper soup. Well, okay, don't put goat meat inside or anything like that. There's no obstacles in this pepper soup. It's just pepper soup.
Yeah.
There's no way you can take a spoon and divide pepper soup. You can't. You can't divide it in the bowl. That's how we should flow into one another with love. We need to start practicing unity. We need to start walking in love. What is it going to take? Well, it starts with the individual. It starts with me looking at myself and thinking to myself, what are the things that were taught to me that stops and hinders me from valuing someone else? What are the things that are hindering me from respecting this person? And I think fundamentally we have to reprogram and begin to actually change that programming in ourselves for it to actually be something that we can be proud of. And the next generation are watching. My children will literally repeat the same things I'm doing if care is not taken. We parent the way we saw people parent, right? So I'm literally like, that's why people are usually shocked. They're like, I will never be my parents. I will never be my parents. I will never be my parents. And then you have your own children and then you do some things and you're like, wait, oh my God, my mom used to do that. Or my dad used to do that. Why? Because we always will live out what we were taught unless we change it. And so this whole chaos, because what Nigerians have practiced for so long is chaos. And they're so used to the chaos that even when they leave Nigeria and go to the diaspora, they have to find an element of that chaos to keep them functional.
They carry it there.
They always, and it's not even a carrying because it's who you are.
Yeah.
You've practiced it so long that you become chaos. So anywhere you go in the world, you literally are that chaos. So you don't become functional until you get rid of that programming or you get rid of those things that keep you functioning in chaos. And when you're not in collaboration, what you are exhibiting is chaos because nobody can live solo.
Okay.
Nobody can live as an island. It is not possible.
Yeah.
It is not possible.
Yeah. So, I think our time is past spent. We think that we know scratch on what we have done here on collaboration, but we're just going, as the Lord will help us. But unfortunately, we have a software problem. This software they change the system, so we really not have. I really do apologize if you are not hearing us. If it's echoing and all that, it's not anything that is on our side. It's the software problem. I hope it will get better. So, uh, there is skill. We have to acknowledge that there is skills. You know, so it's good that we are praying. It's good that we are going to church. It's good that we are reading the Bible. But if we are praying, we are going to church, we are reading our Bible, we are praying all the sacrifices and the sin, and the chaos continues, then we have to now think and wake up and know that there could be many things we are doing wrong, and we need to awake to the understanding that sometimes we learn, other times we unlearn, and then relearn. The days are changing, the times are changing. You know,
Yes.
people have grown up with value systems, with lifestyle that is anti-collaboration. Collaboration is not understood in the African community. Collaboration is not looked at in the African civil setting.
Yes.
Collaboration is not, I need to be examined in African setting, because if we want things to work, if we want things to go ahead, we don't need a Messiah. The Messiah is now, and the Messiah is Jesus. And one thing Jesus achieved, or intend to achieve, is to produce himself in everybody, so that every corner of the world you will find Jesus. So, what lack of collaboration, we are going to embrace, a system where we have one Jesus that is at the head. So, if you want to survive, you have to be loyal to this one Jesus that is at the head. This one Jesus that is top. This one Jesus, that climbed a ladder to heaven, and that communicated with God Himself, and God gave you all the powers. Hey, you have to be in good book with this one Jesus. That is in opposition to the gospel of Christ. Christ doesn't want to be in one person, but Jesus wants to be in everybody. Then when if Jesus is in everybody, we will have this collaboration, we will have this respect, we will become, all of us will be stakeholders, all of us will be mindful of one another, we will work together. So, we have taught the youth and the young people, now not to collaborate, how to collaborate in a wrong way. That is why we are having Boko Haram. That is why we are having cultism in our communities. There are many cultures and traditions in our communities. Like, for those of you from Ogoni, the river state houses, there is this group they call harmonic group. This harmonic group, this now here, there is a scope of collaboration in that evil association. Why? Because their activities intimidate the people. Their activities oppress the people. Their activities, deprive the people of liberty. They do not exist for how, give value to their community, but they imprint in their community. People are collaborating, to exalt things like that break, and enslave the people. Why? They are looking for power. They are looking for significance. They are looking to be the voice where, they can control things in their community. That is evil communication collaboration. That kind of communication should be condemned by everybody. That kind of collaboration should no longer be acceptable in our generation, in our time. up and not embrace that same evil culture in our community. Why? We do not understand collaboration. God wants us to live for Him, to live to His glory, to live as His ambassador, to do our work. Wherever we have the chance to work, like today we only talk about the airport. I want to challenge you. You at the airport, maybe the custom officer, maybe the airport worker in that airport, I want to challenge you. You ask yourself, are you a believer? Are you a Christian? Is your life in Christ? Is God proud of the way you carry out your duty in that airport? Oh, you come to church on Sunday. Maybe you are a pastor yourself. Maybe you are a worker in church yourself. And yet you go back to the airport and you are exporting money from innocent people that come from abroad to visit their home. You are collaborating with people not to endanger or to indict and affect of people so that you can make money and you are defrauding people at your place of work. Christianity is not in church. Christianity is in the society. Christianity is at their place of work. Christianity is is manifested when you do what you do, outside the radar of your pastor, outside the radar of somebody that knows you are a member. So collaboration is a huge thing. Before I leave, Dr. Audrey to say a final as we close, and we surely are still going to come back on this collaboration. I want to acknowledge some of you on the line. And again, please apologize for the poor quality or somehow, the voice is not clear. We did our best. That's why this program is elongating. So please, that's why we share this book. And let's go back to listening, so that we can address of this point. So, um, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I did a good job. I did yes, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Give me a share. I do want to thank you for joining. Thanks for joining me. Happy Benedict. Thanks for joining. Oh, and Steve Benjamin was alive. Thanks for joining the board of the Mexico. I kept good. Thanks for joining people. Thanks for joining me. And dear Steve, thanks for joining the Barricade. Thanks for the rest of the day. Thanks for Kisha, family, that thanks for joining. I trust some of you on the line, or you are welcome. You are welcome. We want to thank God for this program. And please to follow up. And this. I mean, I go to my first page, took out the School of Living Christ, or my Facebook, my YouTube channel, took out the God, and well, just the previous the part one of this broadcast, collaboration with one this broadcast. For you to follow up. We are still coming up to more collaboration because this is something that we have to talk about. And if you hear this thing, if you believe in what we are saying, if you do not accept that it is true, please let's pass it out to our younger generation. Let's pass it out to our brothers. Let's be our brothers. Let's remind them. We know that it's not easy. God is able to help us to live this life, to make our nation great, to make our community great, to make our society, even our church great. It all depends on all of us knowing our place and doing our part. So I want to like God, okay, Suka, to close get the final and then we'll close.
Unity works. Unity works in a way that um we can't really even sometimes you don't even understand why it's working, right? But it works. And the way that God puts everything together is so strategic. He does it in such a strategic way. So when you don't have something, someone close to you has that thing. Sometimes the person that you find enmity with has that thing. And so the whole point of collaboration is to keep us together. It's to keep us in unity. It's to keep us in one accord, right? And I think it's so interesting that for so long we've practiced this separation thing. I challenge people to want to do it differently because the way that we're doing it currently isn't working. I'm challenging people to let's try unity. We've tried separation. We know what it looks like. We've tried chaos. We know what it looks like. Clearly, we live it every day. People live it every day. How about we try something we haven't tried before? How about we tried something new? And you don't just try something for a week. You don't just try something for 2 weeks. You keep going, right?
I mean,
So I would challenge people to take a 30-day challenge. A 30-day challenge of every time you see another fellow Nigerian, and let's even take it even more broad, right? Every time you see a fellow Black person, right? What is the first thought that comes to your mind? Because it will be different every time. And I had to even realize, right, growing up in North Dakota, I grew up in North Dakota. Essentially, when we came to North Dakota, I think I was like 13 or 14. I'm 32. I've literally lived here like over half of my life. And the majority of people that live in North Dakota are white people. And even living around white people, I didn't realize how much self hate you are taught because you can look at another Black person and you're like, oh, they're going to embarrass me. Oh my God, they're going to embarrass me. They're going to embarrass me. And I used to do it all the time. And I had to start asking myself a couple years ago, like, why? Why do you feel the need to feel shame when you see a fellow Black person? You know, that thought alone, they're going to embarrass me, causes you to separate yourself.
mm,
It causes you to separate yourself because automatically what you do is you're like, oh my God, they're going to embarrass me. So you want to detach yourself from them before they do anything that's embarrassing, right? That's already division taking place. And you don't know that you're not walking in love in that moment. But if you actually stay with that thought, like, and I actually had to ask myself, why are they embarrassing to you? What is it that, like, okay, so even if they are embarrassing, why would you separate yourself? Shouldn't you even come closer to see if there's something that you can do, to see if that fellowship or that even just coming together will change the situation? But this group of people made me feel like I needed to separate myself from that person in order for me to feel value.
mm,
And it's wrong. It is so wrong. And I think we need to start asking ourselves the first thing you think of when you see a fellow Black person, what is that thought?
mm,
Why do I have that thought? If that thought is not centered in love, if it's not centered in unity, if it's not centered in let's come together, then you have to go back to the drawing board and change your mentality because something is very wrong. And
mm,
that thing is called self hate.
mm, mm.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this. As just position is very exciting. It's always wonderful to uh, uh, to have it, to have you, especially collaborating in this.
Thank
I,
you.
I would say that we are going to remain on this collaboration for a very long time. Yes, because there are many things that we need to point, to dig out, our people, to get this. It's a serious matter, and something we have to be focused on. We have
Yeah.
to, deliberate. It's not something we will just think that we are going to pray and then somebody will take a decree and prophesy and it's going to solve. At this stage, the problem of the Black people, the problem of Nigerians and Africans is deeper. We thank God because God is able to do all things. But if God wanted to do all this by himself. He wouldn't have given us powers. He wouldn't have given us anointing. He wouldn't have laid so much responsibility on us.
Yeah.
But God wants us to take time. God wants us to awake, to arise, to not just live like spirit being, but act like human being and believe in dominion. Jesus set an example. He did not just say because he's God. Now, let me say it because he was God. He would just stay somewhere and speak the word, and the whole thing will change. He actually took the form of a human being. He lived among them. He
Yeah.
experienced the harsh environment. He made his way. He was, he escaped death several times. He pushed his agenda. He tried to get people. If we want to be like Jesus, it's not that we want to gather the people and Lord over them. But whatever we can do to help people to become more like Christ, whatever we can do to start the faith of people and let them go, because we cannot go, we are not God. God is not called us to hold anybody. Oh, God is using us to help people, but never to hold people, not to love people because we cannot keep them. It's only God that can keep people. It's only the power of God that can preserve people. It's only the word of God that can make people. So we commit always to commit people to the word of His grace. We do that even in with our children. Oh, you don't keep your children with you forever because you are a father. Then you keep your children in your home forever because you don't want them to go and mess up. No, you train them and then let them go be who they want to be or who God wants them to be. If God is working over them, if God is keeping them. So everything is possible because we believe that God is in us. We believe that God is working to us. Friends, I want to tell everybody, uh, uh, by below thanks for joining. Uh, Pastor Samuel, thanks for joining. For joining. Okay, like for joining. Boy, thanks for thanks, Dixon. And God, use my minister of finance. Thank God for life. Thanks for joining. I appreciate all of you. Please don't share this broadcast. This is our little attempt to contribute to the problem of our time, to the problem of our world. But to you, especially to all the speaker, I want to say thank you. I want to say I appreciate you so much. I want to say
Thank you.
I'm blessed, I'm happy, and saw the next when you were 9 years old, I was 3 years after working after you come here, like, keep going focused. Today, you are now going to be my coach. So I'm really glad, so I hope you collaborate in this sense. And one of the reasons why we are trying to do this collaboration, you see, like the broadcast radio, the platform that I have, I need help, but where we understand collaboration, I hear soon there somebody will inbox me, hey, Pratika, can I come and talk your videos for you? Can I come and help you out in your internet knowledge, this to make us let's spread this word. People can just come and volunteer. I know how to do this well. I see that you are doing your best, this broadcast, but you can find that this is not right, this is not right. So that is you. Collaboration. When you see what is nice, you want to do your best to make it better. Because
Yes.
you are doing it because you know that it will please God. So let me say it now. If you're out there, you will know how to cut videos and you know how to, have to do that, technology, and you want to help me, I need help. Just inbox me, and I don't have money. Let me tell you, I don't have money, to give you. But if you think of that's what you can do as your contribution to this gospel of the kingdom, love will be your reward. So I want to say to that, please open over this broadcast again and listen and listen and listen. And if you got something, please pass it on to someone. Teach someone. Help someone to realize it. Let's make our world and our society better. I want to say that this podcast is done for the love, the kingdom of God, the church, and the nation. So the next time, thank you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
people online, peace. God bless you. You see, I have to figure out how to end this thing. I have to end it now. This is the news of the